The podcast you're about to listen to contains horribly offensive language, crude humor, and countless spoilers for things we guarantee haven't been spoiled for you yet. Listener discretion is advised.
Alright, Carlos Dave Anime Rave Fall Anime. We started by watching our number 30 seed. What was the title again for this one?
Denki-Gai no Honya-san.
So, based on what we managed to watch before killing ourselves, because we're doing this from heaven, or hell. Hell is probably much more likely.
Fuck.
This appears to be the story of a bookstore that peddles in erotic doujinshi fiction.
Among other things.
The cast of characters kind of go through their day-to-day slice of life. Various misunderstandings with their coworkers and
teasing and
teasing about romantic situations, and the one scenario where they recommend stuff to people and to tailor to their tastes. However, this show, in its ineptness, managed to get zero anything out of me other than contempt. It was line after line of grating, pandering dialogue that served no purpose. It didn't serve to mindlessly entertain, it didn't serve to inform or educate, it didn't serve to do anything but make me angry that I was watching this. And we flipped. We were going to be professionals and watch the whole thing, but we caved. We couldn't finish.
Yeah, we turned it off. We turned it back on to say, no, we'll watch the full thing. And we got almost halfway through the episode, and we couldn't take it anymore. It was just... The animation is subpar.
The animation was okay.
Yeah, it was subpar.
I'm going to say one good thing about the show. There's a case to be made that perhaps, and maybe if they did this show would have been way better. There's a case to be made in the scene where they are trying to find the right erotic manga fit for people who come in. There's a case to be made for people needing to find their kinks and to find their, and for us to keep an open mind about what turns people on and what doesn't, because we all have different kinks and we shouldn't be shaming people who have sexual kinks. And perhaps if the show explored this topic in more detail, it would have been maybe difficult to watch, but definitely enticing. It relied too much on gags. Like, there was one gag about how the one worker who obviously likes Eero manga and the one girl who obviously doesn't were in the same room, and their awkward conversation, and none of that conversation was appealing.
And the conversation could have been done in a way to make you closer to the characters, but this was just like, okay, we get it. This is a misunderstanding of Three's Company proportions. We don't care. You have not done anything to earn getting to this point already.
Yeah, there's the gag that, oh, she doesn't like it and he does. How awkward. There's the gag that their supervisor is filming her and making a collection. How illegal. There's the gag that...
Creepy.
The quiet guy who looks like Chad from Bleach knows everyone's erotic tastes. How insightful with no context.
Yeah,
There's nothing redeeming about this show. I didn't think there was going to be anything redeeming about this show, and I was right.
This one's cut.
This one's... Well, let's...
No, this one's guaranteed. It's going to be the Lord.
Oh, it's guaranteed it's going to be amongst the 10 what's going to get cut. I'm just saying, let's give it our 3-pi rating. Zero. Okay, and let's average this out. So 0 plus 0 divided by 2 is 0.
Yes.
Okay, so it gets a score of 0. Moving on to the next one.
That was a hell of a hook at the end.
Let's do the title.
Yeah, I guess.
What's the title of this one again?
This was Ushinawareta Mirai no Moto Mete.
Now, I know from very limited Dragon Ball Japanese name knowledge that Mirai means time travel, and I should have probably... or future or something, so I should have realized that, because the future Trunks in Japanese is Mirai no Trunks.
Oh.
So I think I should have realized that. I think it's pretty obvious that... let's sum
Show
it up.
synopsis first.
Yeah, sum it up. So this one starts off at some school where the astronomy club, which is pretty proficient at beating the shit out of other clubs when they get out of line.
It is used as the enforcer/disciplinary committee subcommittee.
Yeah, it's like the astronomy/disciplinary club. Really weird. And this club, they're putting together some final celebration for their senior member who's off to college or whatever. And the big hook is that there's a romance between So and Kaori, was it? And they're in love and don't want to tell each other.
And live in the same house as childhood friends.
And just as she confesses her love, she gets killed by a bus. At the end of the show, it goes back to when they were discussing this whole thing. There's some loud-ass crash that didn't happen before, and there's some white-haired girl up on the roof of the school. And I think it's pretty damn obvious that that's just her from the future having died. Let's be real with ourselves. That's not a hard one to piece together. What did you think?
I mentioned partway through that I thought things were going a bit quick in that little plot that was obvious from the moment the show started was all of a sudden coming to a resolution, but that's because I'm used to them dragging that shit out for an entire season.
Yeah, I was pretty happy that she confessed her love and then
which is rare.
Pretty pissed that they basically just erased that from history.
Yeah, then again, ultimately, I thought it handled many things well. Even his reaction to her confession was a lot more realistic compared to most.
Not that they have to be realistic in a show, but it definitely seemed in line with who he is.
Yeah,
he was basically sidelined by it, as though he should have realized it, but didn't because he was too busy planning this thing.
Ultimately, I just think that they gave us the hooks needed to get you interested in continuing a little bit further.
Yeah.
Especially that ending hook. I mean, that was just like, fuck.
Ending hook aside, they talked way too much for my tastes. Look, it's not that I hate dialogue, it's I hate pointless dialogue. And they took at least 4 to 5 times longer through dialogue to establish shit that could have been done with one line. I don't like that in shows. And you said you thought they were going too quick, which surprised me because the whole time I was thinking to myself, get the fuck on with it already. There are neat little things I like about it, but overall I'm not terribly impressed, nor am I turned off. How would you rate this out of 3 pi? You might want to open your calculator, by the way, because we're going to need to do some calculations here, because my rating involves pi. So how would you rate it out of 3 pi? I ask already knowing mine. I started it at a 5, and I kind of, wavered between where I ended up finally.
I'm gonna give it a 2 out of 3 pi. A 2 pi out of 3 pi.
Wow, that's fairly good. That is a fairly good rating. I settled on pi plus 1 out of 3 pi. So a little less than 5. Because it fell further, and then something about it kind of made me smile, and then it went up, and then it fell further, and it ended up being a little bit below a baseline 5 for me. This averages out to approximately 5.21 out of 3 pi. Do you want to make this one yellow?
I don't think at this point deserves to be in the red.
I agree. This one is probably going to survive the cut. So I would argue that this show ended up being a little better than its 20 seed.
Yeah,
Would you agree?
It was near the lower part, but
it's about seeded where it would be.
Again, it was seeded today rather than 2 weeks ago.
This is true.
So
Also, I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but none of this matters for shit.
Yeah.
So it's not too important where it ended up.
Really, I think what mattered here was 1 to 10 was what we thought was green and go.
Yes.
Mid was yellow and bottom was red. So, I mean, this was at the edge of the yellow spectrum.
At the edge of the day of the edge.
So, yeah.
Whatever the fuck that means, Carlos. All right. Shall we watch a third for this one?
Okay, so let's do dancing.
Let's do dancing.
Tribe Cool Crew.
Tribe Cool Crew. All right, Tribe Cool Crew. Where was this seated?
We had this right at 15.
Right at number 15. Right down the middle. That's how I ended up feeling. I liked the animation. I liked the high energy. Oh, we should probably sum it up. So Haru's a 7th grade dancing machine, and Kenan is secretly Rhythm, who puts out what I'm guessing are YouTube or in Japan Nico videos of her dance routines. But she's really secretly shy. This is her secret identity, if you will. It goes through their lives, the two of them, they're dancing, their routine. It turns out they practice in the same place, and through a chance meeting, they meet each other and decide, hey, they've never danced with partners before. It was great. Let's make a team out of this.
She seems more hesitant on that based on the preview for next episode. But I gotta say, I came into this dreading what I thought was going to be a very almost Teletubbies level show is what I expected, to be honest. And they actually gave it a little bit more respect than I thought they were going to. The dance moves weren't just somebody jumping up and down. There was actually some groove to the music. And the music was very well done.
Super good music, super good techno
Even the
music.
intro and the outro music was definitely better than most anime intros and outros.
Yeah, it was really solid. I like how both Kenan and Hanaru, that's his name, Hanaru, right? I like how they're different sizes despite being similar in age, because it's fucking junior high. Of course, everyone's a different fucking size, right?
Yep.
I like their contrasting personalities. I like what we've seen of the other characters. I like the animation. My only real issue, and this is totally on me, is that I'm not sure how much I really care in the end. Like, it's super high energy, and I hope this show does really well, because I would love to see more things like this challenge the otaku-heavy status quo that is modern anime. I would love that. But how much do I truly care about these characters and the subject matter? I don't think I care enough to rate it as high as maybe it deserves, I want to say. How do you feel about this?
Here's the thing. I'm probably going to give it a higher rating than you would expect, simply because they haven't given us the conflict yet.
Well, they kind of hinted at it.
Well,
but...
they've given a hint, but we know their age, we know their personality right now. We've seen that they're getting in the groove, literally. But I mean, thankfully, there's no stupid challenge right now of, well, I gotta dance as best as I can to save the school, save my home. You know,
yeah. Right now, it's them kind of discovering themselves.
Even then, I don't want them to go that route. If it was simply a challenge, a competition to meet JL in person, that would be a fine challenge for me. Mm-hmm. They don't need some big challenge for a show of this type. They just need something to keep things moving along, to have them get into dance competitions. Just groove. I'm I came out of this with a lot better of an impression. I mean, they went into a little bit of the 3D CG, which
every dance scene was that, and
well,
you could
not
definitely
at first.
tell. You could tell that they were transitioning between one very different style of animation and another that they're using for everything other than the.
But
dances.
even then, they did show a bunch of the dance each time in the original animation, and then they. I'm not gonna say transition because it was very much A-B sort of thing. But they then went into what you knew was then going to be the Miku engine animation sort of thing, which makes things very easy to be done like that.
Sure, for sure. I'm going to tell you my rating before you tell me yours, because we'll switch it up from the last thing we watched where you did it first. I am going to give this a solid 2 pi out of 3 pi.
Okay.
The 2 pi comes from the quality of the show. The lack of that last pi is more for the subject matter not jiving with me. And again, I stress that I would love to see this show succeed.
Okay. Well, I'm actually going to bump this guy up. I'm going to go with a solid 2.5 pi out of 3 pi.
A very good rating. That leaves us at... that averages out to 2.25 pi. Why did you choose this rating system?
Why did you?
Shut up. Times 3.14. So that gives it a solid average of 7.07.
Yeah.
All right. So, Tribe Cool Crew ranked middle of the pack. Probably finished a little better than middle of the pack. This is very likely not going to get culled.
No, this may end up green. In fact, I would say just putting this green right now is probably...
Yeah, the colors don't have to match up to the numbers.
No.
So strictly. We can put it green if we just feel that it deserves to be green. Yeah, let's put this green on our list.
It's got way more energy than I'm used to seeing from a Japanese anime.
Yeah, a Japanese anime about dancing of all things.
Yeah.
This was a pleasant surprise. This was a pleasant. I'm counting on episode 2 to pull me in a little bit because I like to think that I'm the type of guy who can get into this kind of thing, even though it's not really mine.
Something tells me that we may not actually get a real villain.
There doesn't have to be a villain in this kind
competition
of show.
Does not need villainy. It's just you versus me is a challenge, and that's fine.
Yeah, it can be person versus self. The conflict could be that they could develop a rivalry as they make their team, and maybe that leads to later conflict. So far, pleasant show. I'm impressed with the originality, and I hope it does well. What's our next one? Alright, so, Monodo whatever and Vanidus, which translated to, the Master Bowman in Vanidus. So this one is about a human hunter who is he was so awesome that when the rest of his army is decimated, he still tries to go one-on-one with the super hot raid boss that decimated him. Unfortunately, super hot raid boss is Eleonora, or whatever her name was, who, she's battle maiden, she has a magic sword, and she has other abilities, no doubt. And she's basically an army in and of herself, so, he has 2 arrows left, she fucking shoots them, he can't fucking do shit.
She chops it right down the middle, just like Robin Hood.
Yep, and so Warren, our bowman, is taken prisoner by her, and
shown more integrity than by the army that he fought with. By the prince.
He impresses his captors with his skills at a bow. May or may not be biding his time for something, we'll see. And appears to be the object of Eleanor's affections. At the end of the episode, he hears that his estate, because he's a count and he has an estate and servants and whatnot, is about to be under attack by a force of 3,000, and he is going to leave, but the Battle Maiden stops him. The Battle Maiden stands in his path. He asks her to move aside, and that's where the episode ends. So I like this one. I gotta tell you,
I think it lived up to the place that we had it at 5th.
There is some fan servicey stuff,
yes,
but it's more fun. It's more like Eleonora is a battle maiden, so obviously she's more than human, but at the same time, she's got a playfulness about her and a certain kind of lust for and fascination for a normal dude who is still supremely skilled, which I like. I like that dynamic. I like that he fascinates her the way he does. I like that he's generally a kind individual who seems to be helping others find their own kindness and whatnot. And I like the characters presented. The fan servicey parts were playful enough, and let's be honest, the character's hot enough that I was like, okay, fine, I'll take a good look at your thigh. I won't be bothered by this. I overall like this.
Yeah, I've got to say, the animation is top notch.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I wouldn't call it top notch, but I would say it's pretty good.
By today's standards, top notch. Didn't fall into any CG sinkholes, which is nice. You pretty much summarized it very well. I mean, it is very much a playfulness that she has. I love the fact that she is not exactly modest. And she explains herself as a warrior would in that situation.
I make this comparison not because she's anywhere near Satsuki Kiryuin, but in a way it's kind of like how Satsuki doesn't give two shits if you look at her body.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't give a fuck, and that's not me saying that women should act like this at all. I'm simply saying that when this characteristic exists in a character, it adds an interesting angle to their character.
And as a warrior, it fits very well.
Yeah, if I was a fucking awesome battle warrior, I'd be like, yeah, you can see my cock. Fuck does it matter? Stop looking at my bulge. I have a great sword. And I don't mean my bulge.
So yeah, no, this one definitely shows very strong promise.
It seems pretty good. What would you rate this one out of 3 pie?
Well, I kind of raised the stakes a while ago by giving Tribe Cool Crew 2.5 pie out of 3 pie.
Which I think is not a bad rating.
Is definitely not a bad rating. I'm putting this on the same level. I'm going to go with a 2.6 pie.
2.6 pie?
Out of 3 pie, because it shows so much promise, and the writing stands out today as being very well done. It
is comparatively much better than a lot of other anime.
Yeah.
I'm going to shock you with my rating. I'm going to give it an 8 out of 3 pie.
Ooh. Hang on, I gotta get up here and actually get this in. Okay. 8.1.
So basically, I thought I gave a higher rating than you. No, yours ended up being slightly higher. I forgot my pie mathematics. Still, 8.1 was our average. You had 2.6 pie, right?
Yeah, I did. I don't know why I changed. Yeah, hit the wrong button. I'm gonna blame rounding. It's document.
No.
8 out.
You're clearly high on boobs.
There were some nice ones of that.
Yeah, there's some hot lady in that. Like, they were anime as shit, but I don't know why. The way those characters were drawn, they were hot. Like, I was kind of like, oh wow. If this battle maiden took me prisoner, I would still try to find a way to kill her. But I think, it's a green. But I think if she said, I want you, I'd be like, okay, let's have some hot 300 Rise of an Empire sex first.
Yeah, no, that was definitely a green, and I definitely see why we put it in the top 5.
Yeah, it definitely. So far, the shows are kind of
they're kind of jiving. I mean, I think Tribe Cool Crew definitely deserved to be higher up in the list, but then again, we were going off of a lot of shows at the time.
Yeah, that's true.
And the trailer did not do it justice.
No, it did not. But hopefully this next trailer did it justice.
Terraformers.
The number 1 seed, Terraformers. Let's take a look. Alright, so as we talked about before, Terraformers, or however we want to call it, was our number 1 seed with an immensely satisfying trailer. The premise is that we have a ragtag crew of people who have all been somehow affected by this mysterious Martian disease that is set to wipe out humanity. Get together, have this surgery to enable them to survive on Mars, or in one of the characters' cases, may have already had some incomplete form of it and got it finished. Our prize-fighting main character, Akari, apparently. They have to travel to Mars to figure out how to stop this virus. Mars is revealed to be infested with cockroaches, giant humanoid cockroach men.
That we inadvertently created by sending algae and cockroaches to Mars in the 21st century.
The 27th century.
Nope, it's the 21st.
Oh, 21st, yeah. And then the show takes place
500 years later.
Yeah, 500, 600 years later. So it's actually a pretty brilliant idea to terraform Mars using biology, and definitely a really cool sci-fi premise to lead to kind of a gory future fantasy cyberpunk style show. I really wish this first episode showed us some of that.
Yeah, this episode is the unfortunate side effect of first episode syndrome, where they want to try and explain a whole bunch by not explaining, and it's more of a lead-in. It's a preview.
Even if this show somehow ends up getting culled, it won't. There will be enough shit that will end up getting culled over Terraformers. I suspect later episodes will have me going, why wasn't this episode the first episode? Yeah. And then this was a flashback as to how they all kind of got together in that scenario. Terraformers has tons of potential, but and that trailer was just so good. But if I hadn't seen that trailer, I would not have known what the fuck was happening. I would have been like, oh, prize fighter. Oh, he can turn into a mutant evil demon thing. And now they're sad and crying. And now antics. And now Mars cockroach men. And now they're on a rocket. If I hadn't seen the trailer, I would have had no context for any of that.
Yeah.
That's a bad thing.
It is.
However, let's get away from the disappointment of that and the need to have watched the trailer. There are things I liked about this episode. I like that this guy was willing to just fucking head-on choke out a bear, even though he failed. I like that the show was not afraid to show that bros can have emotions and feelings too, and cry over their lost loved ones, and hug because, sometimes you just need to hug a man because he's so sad. I like that, what was the name of this fucking, Yuriko, the girl who was dying. I like how, as she was getting worse and worse, she started doing what sick people do, and that's lash out. I really appreciate how they showed that people who are terminally ill like that, they will lash out.
Yeah.
Because being terminally ill sucks, and it sucks for everyone. And, the thing about Yuriko is that if this was any other anime, she'd be the fucking the wooby girl who is always sad-faced and cried, and the hero wants to get a smile out of her. No, when you're sick, sometimes fools get yelled at for no good reason, and I really like that. So those points bring it up, and I still believe this show is going to impress me. This episode, though, I would give a 2 pi out of 3 pi.
Yeah.
You're going to agree with that?
Oh, I can agree with that.
So 2 pi out of 3 pi. Our number 1 seed ends up not being so number 1 after this, doesn't it? I still kind of want to give this a green, knowing what it is.
This fits into green just for the fact that we see promise on the horizon. I mean, Ushina,
The other thing is,
we're at Mirai. We put down at a 5.21 as a orange as our mid-level.
sure.
This is just right now it fits into a green. This isn't getting cut.
The other thing is, like, we've seen enough anime. Oh God, we have seen so much anime in our combined over 6-7 decades of life on this planet put together, to know that sometimes really good shows do this kind of garbage first episode.
Yes, we've seen shows where the first episode was horrendous and then picked right the fuck up.
However, the show is not getting a second chance with me. If episode 2 is similarly disappointing, I will not factor its possible later greatness into it.
Yeah.
If it sucks again,
then it might be on the cutting block.
Yeah, it might be. But otherwise, yeah, Terraform Mars. World Trigger, episode 1. Where did this one rank seed on our seed? Seed.
This ranked 4th.
Seeded in 4th. Let's see if it lives up to that, or if, like, Terraform Mars, it ends up disappointing a little bit. Okay, so World Trigger. This one, do you mind me summarizing them all?
Fire away, bud.
Want a shot at them? Because I've been doing all of them. So.
Go ahead.
Okay, so World Trigger, it's in a world where this one Japanese, I assume it's Japanese village, had gates open in it all of a sudden, and then an agency with totally trained dudes and dudettes and chumpettes and chumps, and one would imagine, called Border, set up shop there in order to fight the beasts that come from the other side. They're called neighbors. Our main characters appear to be Osamu, a nerdy kid who has a trigger, which are used to fight them, but doesn't seem to be strong enough to beat one on his own, and Yuma, who is a mysterious kid from somewhere else, who is super freakishly strong and kind of weird. Together, they will no doubt discover the nature of these creatures and Border and all these fun things. What do you think of the show?
I think it was a decently done setup for what's to come. I mean, they introduced the characters, they introduced the place, they gave us some background information, showed that dicks will be dicks wherever you go. I liked what I saw. I'm kind of sad that Toei decided to spend all their animation budget on this and not Sailor Moon.
A few observations I've made about World Trigger. One, the neighbors appear to look like giant penises, who then open up. This made my dick cringe just a couple of times during that. Second, so Osamu there, he can't even take a simple little kick from a bully, but he's apparently able to fight monsters from the other world. There's a bit of a consistency issue I have with someone who is, because here's the thing, he was legit hurt by that fucking bully. When Clark Kent feigns getting hurt, he's not actually hurt by real people.
Okay.
This guy was just like, oh god, he kicked me in the ribs so hard. Oh.
Hang on.
Oh, so hard. Oh, aliens, time to be badass.
No, you're taking things out of context though, my friend. It's exactly like any power-up system. The Power Rangers, which is actually a good analogy to this, if they got cut or bitch-slapped by one of the enemy in their normal human form, they would take a lot more damage than when they were in their transform thing. When he got bitch-slapped by the monster, he triggered up. I'm pretty sure that's some sort of power-up.
No, he didn't get bitch-slapped by the monster. He got bitch-slapped by a random dude.
And that's fine. That shows that when he's not in his triggered form, he's obviously just a normal human.
If some bully tried to kick one of the Power Rangers in the ribs when they weren't transformed, they'd probably be like, dude, what the fuck you kicking me for? Like, that I only mildly felt that. Fuck you.
But that wouldn't be because of the abilities they get when they transform.
I have a tough time believing that Osamu is that level before and after this weird
I
transformation.
think they were making it very clear that he's weak.
I don't know.
They kind of underline that a number of times. It's like, dude, you're weak. Why did you bother? The bigger question is going to be, why the fuck would they take this loser?
Yeah, it seems strange. Like what you're saying kind of makes sense, but it seems inconsistent to me. But perhaps later episodes will explain that. Other than that weird inconsistency,
which isn't,
which totally fuck you. Other than that weird inconsistency, show seems fine. Animates pretty well. The kind of oh shit moments are definitely oh shit, like when fucking Yuma just beat the shit out of that thing.
Yeah.
But nothing about it screamed must watch either. Like it's not bad, but it's not really riveting either yet anyway. I like the music, I like the general character designs. I do not like the stupid fish face thing that Yuma does far too often. I'm like, why are you doing that? Yeah, I get it, he's playing coy. You can do that much better than making him look like a fish.
Yeah, I will agree with you on that. If they overuse it, it gets annoying.
Yeah, I agree. I would give this 2 pi out of 3 pi.
I'll give it a 2.25 pi out of 3 pi.
Okay.
Just to
Excellent.
fuck with you.
Gotcha. Calculator up.
Just because I decided to be...
So 6.67. So World Trigger, 6.67. Again, a little bit less than you would expect from seed number 4. So we're going to give this a green, I assume.
Yep. Yeah, no, this is still very much a green. I'm interested to see what they do with it next.
All right, that was World Trigger. Hope you've enjoyed this, folks. If you have any feedback, leave us a comment on our YouTube or on our website, carlosanddaveanimerave.com. Thanks for viewing, folks. Go sleep.
Just remember to watch these guys. You can go to Funimation for their simulcast, Crunchyroll, and a number of others are now offering it. So support the groups as you can, people.
Yeah, I agree. Farewell, good people of Earth. May the cockroach people not destroy your intestinal tracts.